Hello and welcome, everyone. This is session 4 of 4 for Urban Shadows London 1604. We are playing Urban Shadows, the game of urban fantasy by Magpie Games, and we are playing it set in the London of King James rather than its default contemporary city setting. Uh, this game is organized through the Gauntlet Community. You should check the Gauntlet out. It's pretty cool. Check out gauntlet-rpg.com for more information about the many, many games the Gauntlet is organizing each and every month. Let's introduce our party for tonight. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Alexi, he, him, and you can find all of my gaming exploits online at Cloven Pine Games. Follow me on Twitter at Cloven Pine Games. Check out the Cloven Pine Games itch page for some free and pay what you will games that I've posted there. And generally keep an eye out for Cloven Pine Games and all its projects. All right, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves as players in character keeper order, starting with Jesse.
Hi, I am Jesse, pronouns he, him. The internet is a horrible dark place. Please do not look for me on it.
Fair enough. Kyle, you next.
Hi, I'm Kyle, he, him. I'm not really on the internet.
It's a good way to be. Leah, please introduce yourself.
I'm Leah, she, her. I am on the internet. You can find me on Twitter at Leah Labresco. That's just Twitter. There's no at.
And finally, Brian.
Yeah, I'm Brian, he, him. I am on the internet, but you shouldn't look for me.
A bunch of mysterious characters here. Let's introduce the folks you're playing in London. Again, going in character keeper order. Jesse, tell us about your character and especially mention kind of where he was at the end of the last session, just to give folks any context about what situation your character was most recently in.
Sure. I am Yeftin ibn Idir, the Corsair, pronouns he, him. Excuse me, the veteran the veteran playbook. Formerly of Queen Elizabeth's spy master. Originally a Berber from Morocco. Still those things. I was last seen making a bargain, agreeing to work for Oberon of the Autumn Court in exchange for debt, to investigate. It was like a plot element I introduced, and I cannot remember what it was called. It was from a codex. It was a burnt up painting.
Yeah, the painting's name is the Vision of the Final Battle at the End of Days.
Yes, the ashes of the Vision of the Final Battle at the End of Days.
Right, it's been shipped to England in ashes.
Right, and he said something about feeding it to oracle, feeding the ashes to oracles, and then drinking their blood. There was a vampire involved, and I didn't really want to get mixed up with this, but
you're the veteran, and people keep pulling you back in.
I was convinced that a debt from Oberon made it worth my while.
Very good, very good. Kyle, tell us about your character and where she was when we last saw her.
I'm playing Ariel, she, her, a fae from the court of Queen Titania. Last we saw her, she barely escaped from the Tower of London after a run-in with a demon.
That's right. And you escaped with Pentecost Jones in tow, that mortal that so much has focused on.
Yes.
Lovely. Leah, welcome back, and talk to us about Lord Francis Fenton, your character, and where he last was seen.
So Lord Francis Fenton is a recusant Catholic noble vampire. He is frequently ridiculous, sometimes tactically. He can turn into bats, seldom effectively. We last saw him fleeing the Tower of London as bats, which I would say was a successful use of that ability. However, in front of a priest he is helping smuggle into England who seemed less than pleased about this. He also hates his vampiric sire, Theophilus Vardine, the one feeding oracles the painting ashes. But it is not permitted for Vardine to kill him for 100 years after siring him. And Vardine keeps a little calendar.
Yeah, I certainly enjoyed getting to see those two run into each other last time Lord Francis was on screen. Finally, Brian, let's meet your character and tell me what situation he's gotten himself into.
Yeah, so I'm Philip Kemp, the hunter, he, him. He's from London, but was a sailor for a long time and has sort of fashioned himself into a one-man anti-demon army, though we're learning that he's a little bit of a coward. He was also in the Tower of London trying to help out his unlikely friend Ariel when he managed to shoot the crap out of a demon and make them all very angry. So, gonna be fun.
I hate it when that happens. Let's do a move that we haven't gotten to touch on as much yet, but is on your playbook, Lord Francis. You have a web move, and I think that both of the undercover priests whom you've helped smuggle around England are definitely in your web. So the way the web works in the Vamps playbook is, among other things, at the start of a session, choose someone in your web and learn a secret about them that they'd rather keep buried. So do you have someone in your web you want to get some dirt on?
Given that Father Thomas got dirt on me, I'd like some on him.
Yeah, I think we'll say that in the probably tense carriage ride that you two share, after you got him out of the Tower of London, but also turned into bats and fed on some guards in front of him, he is trying to get you to explain, your whole supernatural deal, and in the process, you learn that young Father Thomas is himself, a touch supernatural, in that he receives what he interprets as visions from God that lead him towards the people that he needs to minister to, such as Pentecost Jones hidden away in the tower. So the secret that Father Thomas is not, spreading around to all comers is that he is an oracle. All right, let's let that stew for a minute, and let's go to the rumors move for other folks. We're gonna hack it just slightly for the sake of essentially covering some time, because we got to sort of a relatively stable place at the end of the last session. We're going to say that about a week passes between when the events of the last session concluded and when we pick up play in earnest tonight. So to cover that gap of time, I'm going to kind of do a more directed rumors move here. So Yefton, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to go ahead and mark Knight for you, your faction there, and just ask you, what have you done to investigate Theophilus Vardine's activities at the instigation of the Court of Autumn?
So I think that sort of following on my very retired situation, what I've kind of started to do is try and put together some of the strings of my network quietly. I'm moving slowly. I don't know that Oberon has convinced me. Not Oberon, who was my old friend who came to see me to.
Walter Rich is the representative
Walter,
of Oberon you were speaking to.
Walter Rich, my old close friend, who has not convinced me that this is super urgent, but I did agree to investigate it, and so I've reached out to my kind of network, people who I haven't necessarily spoken to in a while, Right, John D is staying with me. I ask him if he's heard anything, sort of mystical.
Yeah.
I ask him to put out feelers in that world. Um, I talk to Daniel Shepard, who might know who's been bribed in the port,
Right.
right, to see like what's coming through in and out, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll plus night, and we'll see how well this all goes.
And like night works there. Where's our dice for die roller? I think my night is 0. I'm on the wrong page here.
Yeah, everybody have
0.
the roll for your party. I'll reshare it in the chat.
That is a even 12.
Wow.
Boxcars.
Nicely done, Yefton. You're not quite out of the game yet, huh? So you're well prepared here. You've either got a debt on someone in that faction, or a useful piece of information or equipment. And among those, the contacts we kind of created for you was Jack Cooper, who we think is a wolf, right? In addition to being just a vagabond and roustabout.
Yes, that's right.
Do you want a debt on him? Do you want useful information or equipment? What?
I mean, honestly, the person to have a debt on that would make the most sense is Vardane.
Oh,
he's a knight.
Yeah, I mean he's right at the center of this. So why do you think Vardine is in your debt?
So I think I probably had this debt. Like, this is not a new debt that I accrued.
Right.
But I've been waiting to pull on it until I sort
off.
of, right. I wanted to get the full picture. And I think it's like something relatively straightforward, where like I decided, he sort of got caught in a net I spread in his mystical smuggling business.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided he was more worth it to me outside the tower than in it. And so I let him go with Wild.
And he knows that you did that.
Correct. I brought him in. I had a conversation with him, so we can make your life easy or hard. Make it easy, you'll owe me. Make it hard, you won't like that.
Very good. Yeah, that absolutely works for me. I will move on to check in with Ariel here. Ariel, I'll probably ask you some questions on both these scores actually, but would you prefer something more about mortality and like your plan where you smuggle Pentecost Jones into your household and give her a new cover identity, or would you prefer something more about Wild, to do with the Fey politics and your mission from Queen Titania?
Wild.
All right. Let me check Wild. Tell me how you, Ariel, have worked to advance Queen Titania's orders, that you get close to King James and build towards a new Spring Court alliance with the English monarchy.
I've been trying to dig up dirt on like important nobles because I mean, my queen ordered me to get close to them, but I'm going to try to do it in the most unpleasant way possible.
Oof, what a choice! Dirt on important nobles within King James's inner circle.
Yes.
All right, it's possible you can find some of that. I kind of want you to roll with the. Oh, interesting. I'm marking Wild here for you're doing this, under the orders of Queen Titania. So roll with Wild, and we'll see how well you do at fulfilling Queen Titania's behest regarding the Mortal Court.
I got an 11.
Nicely done. So on a 10 plus, you're prepared for the conflict you've laid out. You've got a debt on someone in that faction or a useful piece of information or equipment. How are you leaning here?
I think I'd like cadet.
Okay. So the the mortality NPCs in the court include Sir Robert Cecil, whom we've mentioned but not quite seen on screen yet, but who is definitely has the king's ear. We can author someone new if you'd like, or have him owe you one. What do you think?
Cecil sounds great.
Why do you think Robert Cecil owes you a debt, Ariel?
I think I stumbled across some of his agents messed up publicly, and I covered for them.
Hmm. And how did he let you know that he kind of acknowledged this debt?
He
I have an answer if you're open to it.
Go right ahead.
He's gotten you an invitation to the masked ball taking place the evening before the king's kind of triumphal progress through the city.
Sounds great.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Getting Cecil in your debt. That's a good move, Ariel. Nicely done. And then just for kind of filling in some other bits of this world, did you follow through on your idea of kind of incorporating Pentecost Jones into your household under an assumed name?
Yes.
Nice. I might ask you to pick that name out from the name bank or from your head as you wish, but we can come back to that when you're ready to do that.
All right.
Let's next turn to Lord Francis Fenton. Lord Francis, when we last saw you, you were in some degree of trouble. Are you making bats? Yes. Okay. Do you think your kind of main objective here, right, in this gap of time, is kind of settling Father Thomas and possibly settling your own kind of difficulties with him? Because in that case, I'd probably mark power. Or if you have some other plan about how you heal yourself or advance your cause, I'm open to a pitch.
I think Father Thomas is my most immediate problem, though the fact that Cecil has people out asking me to meet with him is a different problem. That seems like it will become more and more pressing. When it comes to healing, I should say, take an advancement between sessions. It's a move from the Wolf playbook, where when I let it out, I have the option to also have wounds close and heal 1 harm as just an additional option on the list. So I think for the most part to heal, during this gap of time, I have tried to go back to my country house and see my wife.
Oh, poor Maria. Let's. Let me. Yeah. What's your plan with Father Thomas? Where are you stashing him, and how are you kind of getting him to to lay by some of his concerns about the fact that you're a damned creature of darkness?
Well, I think I'm trying to get him shipped as soon as we can to a group that needs a priest on the circuit that's as close to Scotland as possible, just like maximally far away from everyone else, hinterlandsy as hell get out. And I think I've tried to keep him distracted by having a few other Catholic nobles like pay visits on him. The point is he needs to stay in one place in London and not go out, because I'm bringing him all the worst people I know, and for him to get captured while they're waiting to have their confessions heard would be a tremendous lapse of duty on his part. And I've said that, if he stays put a whole week, he'll hear my confession, which he knows is a very serious one, and therefore has every reason to stick around for, lest he put my soul in jeopardy.
Roll with power.
A -2, sure. Let's see. How do I even get a -2 for this? All right. That would now be a 5.
Oh, very good. Yeah, that's great. You've where in London did you say you stowed Father Thomas?
I think it's probably not in my official flat because Cecil knows where that is. Not that he necessarily doesn't know where I live otherwise, but I think I have kind of a rundown slum house where I've put him.
Sure, that tracks. We'll probably pick up with you there, to be honest. Philip, hey, buddy.
Hey.
How? Yeah. Oh, let me ask this kind of just loaded question first before we do a move here. How do you stay one step ahead of all the demons in London who want your hide?
I think this is one of those times where it's really great that I don't have, Lord Francis's taste in a comfortable life. I think, I haven't been to my very humble apartment in a week, or I've been through, but I haven't spent the night there. And so it's, it's always being on the move, eyes and ears open, bribes and favors and sleeping on dirty floors.
I buy it. Here's a question. In the last session, we saw you learning some stuff about Barnaby Lodge, his debts, and his big mouth. Did you convey this information to Jefton, to Ariel? Did you try to do anything about this potential problem?
I mean, I hadn't did we decide whether Ariel and I plausibly left together? Do you remember how that worked exactly? Sorry, my memory is escaping me.
From the tower? I think plausibly, yeah.
Yeah. Then I absolutely would have let that on. But
nice. So you've
did Kyle say something? Because if he did, I didn't hear it.
I was going to, but I didn't.
Okay.
No worries. So Philip, you've told Ariel and also Jefton about the potential security risk that is Barnaby Lodge and his gambling debts?
Yes.
And
that I had also connected to Theophilus, right?
Yeah. So I want to know, what do you do about Theophilus Vardine and his network? Because I'm gonna mark night for you, and point you in that direction.
I think. Tell me if this sounds sane.
Yeah.
I think I am interested in this, but also unusually terrified for my own safety.
Yeah.
Given the threats that have been leveled at me recently. And so I think I am looking a little bit to tie that all together. I want to know if Theophilus, the bad vampire, is engaging, demons or other unsavory folk, as compared to regular vampires.
Yeah. What unsavory company could Theophilus possibly be keeping? Yeah, go ahead and roll plus night to see how well you get a grasp on Theophilus' activities.
Gonna be hilarious. Oh, my right, yeah. Night is +2. I'll take it. Click, reroll. All right, that is a 7.
Ooh, nice. You're neck deep in it. You owe someone in that faction a debt, and someone in that faction owes a debt to you. So I'll tell you that what you learn, like kind of putting your ears out, word on the street, right, is that Theophilus is consolidating power in Night. He's the werewolves of London are without an alpha, and he's trying to like bring them under his sway. Even trying to recruit the ghosts, who are some of the harder folks to get a hold of, so to speak. And this has other factions worried, right? Like, in fact, the demons. Part of the reason the demons have been, active in the city recently, besides just hunting for your sorry hide, Philip, is that they are. It seems that higher up or lower down in their hierarchy, people are bothered by this power play Theophilus is making. So, in fact, the demons are massing against what Theophilus is trying for. So yeah, so you get a night debt and you owe a night debt. I'm open to ideas here. The kind of NPCs that exist already in Night. There's a PC that exists in Night. There's good old Lord Francis Fenton,
who I've not exchanged debt with in either direction yet.
Yeah, if you want to tie yourself into Francis with this move, I'd totally allow it. The Night NPCs are Theophilus himself, the wolf Jack Cooper, who hasn't been on screen but canonically exists, and the ghost of Christopher Marlowe, again in the character keeper. Haven't quite gotten to see him in action yet. So those are options that exist, but also using this to tie yourself into Francis is pretty cool, if that's cool with you, Leah.
Yeah, so I absolutely believe that I have, gotten myself in pretty deep on this while I'm already on the run. I don't know what it looks like yet, but I absolutely believe there's been time for Francis to bail me out one. So definitely happy to owe him. I'm not sure whether it would make more sense for someone else to owe me. Like the
I mean, I do think we're both on the run, and it's very possible we owe each other, but
I buy it. I absolutely buy it, especially if the demons haven't been incredibly particular about like which vampires they're going after, because they sort of like see you guys as all the same crowd right now.
I have a lot of problems right now, and like before we get into whether demons have problems with mistaken identity, FYI.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, right. You actually picked a fight with a demon the last time we saw you, didn't you? Forgot about that. Yeah, no, I'm in for this.
So we'll say there's kind of a montage, right, during this week of like Philip getting cornered, and then like Lord Francis like kind of descends as a cloud of bats and like pulls him out from where he was, and then like later some demons are menacing Lord Francis, and then like boom the blunderbuss goes off. Do we buy this?
Okay, if I can add a detail, I think when the like bats swarm around our hunter, by the time I swarm away, he's both in a place of safety and is just like dressed much better than he was before the bats. And like Lord Francis never brings this up, but
and I'm for it.
Okay, very good. Mark those back and forth debts. Finally, a question for Yefton. Filling in some of these details here. Yefton, when Pentecost Jones comes to you and asks you to make her silvered cold iron crossbow bolts with halves of blessed wood, do you comply?
Well, how does she ask me?
She's probably deferential.
Does she
about
remind me that I owe her?
respect.
Is she calling in
But
a
I
debt?
think
That's my
she,
question.
I think she reminds you of the times when she, checked on who her master was meeting with, and reported this information to you.
Yeah, in that case, despite the fact that I am working with the Fae, I grudgingly make it for her. Because after all, I keep my debts.
All right, so I'm gonna cross out that debt, and do you have the thing where you get something for making people stuff in your workshop?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I think I specifically did not take that move because I felt like it wasn't going to get this, and in this kind of four session run, you tend not to get to play a lot of those. I don't think I do.
Okay, that's fine.
I did take, just so you know, I advanced and I took the Bloodhound move from the wolf so I can hunt people.
Ooh, that's nifty. Give me just like the montage scene then of you creating these crossbow bolts in your workshop during the intervening time.
Did she just ask for cold iron, or was there something else?
She wants cold iron, silvered, and halves of blessed wood. She's covering all her bases.
Got it. So I think you see me sort of like talking to my suppliers, and there's like a meeting in a back alley where and then this is like a montage of me talking to a bunch of different people, checking on it, looking over the materials, rejecting some stuff, taking some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see me go to my forge, and there's like Jesse has no idea how you actually do this in terms of like interweaving different metals in a way that would like have them actually hold together in a reasonable way. But there's some close-ups of different kinds of metal pouring into crucibles, and there's some hammering, and at the end you sort of see me sharpening. Maybe there's dipping in the silver, dipping the cold iron in the silver at the end.
Yeah.
And then sharpening the edge, and then redipping so that the silver that came off the tips of the edge is restored, and sort of like that, trying to find that balance.
Nice.
And I think one thing that you sort of see is that at the end the camera pans up to that magical focus. And you can see like very clearly that the light is not shining through the focus onto the anvil as I'm working. Right? These are not enchanted arrows. These are arrows made from materials that are harmful to various creatures.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm giving her exactly what she asked for and no more.
Okay. I think she's grateful for it. Who knows what protection you're going to need in a city like this. Ariel, any thoughts on that cover name?
Yes, I think I'm calling her Rose Weaver.
All right. Nice and floral to fit in with your Spring Court Fae household. And what is she doing ostensibly in her new role as definitely not a fugitive from justice, broken out of the Tower of London?
She's ostensibly a maid, but I send her on errands that give her an excuse to just like wander about London when she needs. Yeah.
Okay. And Margaret, your housekeeper, is she in the know about this new employee?
Yes.
Great. Then it sounds like what we were going to next do. Oh yeah, let me set the scene of what's going on in London. A week later, it's the eve of the Ides of March, and the triumphal arches are going up all over the city, kind of cobbled together from wood and plaster and shaped to imitate the arches of classical Rome. These are the stage for King James's triumphal procession. He'll be making his way from the Tower of London through the whole city, passing through these archways. At each of them, actors from the London stage have been commissioned to present classical and allegorical figures to extol King James and Britain. It's a big to do. People have been working hard on this, and at the very last minute, the finishing touches have been put on these archways, and everyone is abuzz for the prospect of this royal triumphal procession. But meanwhile, several of you have your own concerns, and I think I want to first check in with Lord Francis, because it sounded like you had promised to meet up with young Father Thomas at the end of this sort of week where you've had him hiding in a London slum hearing recusant confessions.
Yes, I have.
So is he expecting you? Are you keeping your appointment when you turn up to Father Thomas's hiding place?
I think I'm keeping my appointment. I think I've hung around here at times. He hasn't been aware that I'm here, just making sure that he's not going anywhere, checking in on him when he should be asleep, the normal things.
Extremely normal. Okay, how do you make your visible entrance then at this point? He's in a none too fancy house that you provided for him.
Yeah, so for work like this, I'm very well dressed as always, but I'm wearing my slumming cape over my outfit. So it's just a little raggedy. And it's something that the moment I'm inside and out of the side of the street, I take it off immediately. I go up to find him.
You've had Bartholomew pull the slumming cape out from storage, especially for this.
Exactly.
Okay, it's a slightly unorthodox application of it, but it sort of sounds like you're trying to hit the streets here.
Yeah, I buy that because, after all, I'm hitting the streets to get something I need, which is absolution. Unfortunately, let's see, this is with his faction, which is -2.
Yeah, it's power.
Yeah, I'm just double checking to see if Webb helps me here, but it doesn't. It's only for lend a hand or get in the way. Okay, so I don't have a plus on him at all. All right. And just to check, there's no other way for me to try and get a better roll for this roll besides just rolling it once I'm at -2 on this.
You could see if any of your fellow player characters were interested in being in the scene and lending a hand to you somehow.
Yeah. Let's see. Philip, are you at all interested in swinging by my slummy place, whether to return clothes or anything else?
I mean, I have nowhere better to be in general, in as much as I'm not staying put. So if you put a message out to me that it would be good and or useful and or safe for me to show up somewhere, I would probably just do it without asking very many questions.
All right. Let's say I did that.
And, it's easy to get in touch with Philip because instead of a cell phone, he has an urchin who can quickly run across town and bring messages to him.
That's legit, and honestly, I bet his urchin is from this part of town. So, I think I've sent a message to you saying, we should discuss our next moves. This is a good place to meet. I'll be here at this time, and so on.
Yeah, I'm absolutely there. My urchin might be from here, but also probably I have been here recently, or now, or this morning.
So I guess as I encounter you first in a sitting room or whatever it is poor people have instead of sitting rooms.
It's more of a standing room only type house here in Cheapside.
Lord Francis just says to you, yes, Elixir Shrami, would I address him by his Christian name since he's considerably lower ranking than I am, or would I call him Mr. Kemp?
I think Christian name would be acceptable. He's certainly lower ranking than you are.
Philip.
Yeah.
I have a little business not of this world to take care of first. I don't know your own persuasions, but you certainly seem like a man who needs to be forgiven for a great many things. So if you wish to avail yourself while you are here, assuming Father Thomas has not wandered off again, God's grace is available, and if he has taken it with him.
I think Philip sort of like looks a little bit uncomfortable. He's like pro-Catholic, but is not under the impression that Catholics are pro-Anglican. And so he doesn't really know what to do with that invitation. He's not looking to offend, but he just sort of like is sheepish and mumbles something.
Yeah, I think I just throw the next door open and go, Father Thomas, I have brought you 1 to 2 penitents, depending on Philip's mood. As promised, I have saved the best for last.
Roll that hit the streets.
Oh boy. All right, let's do it. Whoops. Okay. So that's a 3 before I take 2 off it. So I'm not sure how much a help roll is going to help.
I'm so sorry, Lord Francis. It really seems that it's not God's will for this to go well for you today. Let's see. Father Thomas looks up at you, still warily, which you think is a little unfair of him, since you just drank those guys' blood that one time, and otherwise you've been a perfect benefactor to this man, housing him in your 3rd or 4th best London accommodation, and you realize though that he's looking right past you to the looking honestly with like slightly glazed over eyes, like he can see something with the sight that you now know he has, and you don't see anything at first, but you do feel it as something huge and invisible barrels into your back and sends you sprawling kind of by Father Thomas's feet. He has like pulled a like hidden crucifix right from his person and is holding it out and saying, "Get back, beast." Philip, you see Lord Francis go sprawling. You see the priest pull out a crucifix. You don't see what he's addressing. What do you do?
I definitely pull out the revolver and not the blunderbuss because this is someone's house.
Yeah, very considerate of you.
Yeah, right. Is he addressing a direction that, like, how big a space is in front of him? Like, is he looking at a couple of feet and then a wall? Is he looking? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's not that much space in this house at all. So I guess my question is, why do you ask this?
I mean, it seems like this definitely smells like a demon, though I might be paranoid.
There's definitely a place that he seems to be talking to, though he's also walking backwards slowly, like it's moving towards him.
So I definitely want to go after this thing.
Yeah.
Because whatever it does to, like, I want to protect the priest. I want to protect Lord Francis, and I know that whatever happens, it's going to come after my sorry ass one of these moments.
Yeah.
Is this a let it out?
Oh, to try to see what you're facing?
Or to try and give it a bad time without seeing it, either which. Like, I feel like I don't know. The results I want are the, like, engage results or the unleash results, but if you think this is let it out here, I'm down.
It sounds a little like let it out if you're trying to get a bead on something that's currently invisible even to vampires.
Okay. I think that's what I'm going for. And that is spirit. Is that right?
Yeah, roll with spirit to
Oh,
let it out.
no.
And tell me what it looks. Tell me what it looks like as Philip attempts to kind of see beyond the veil here.
Yeah. All right. Oh no. Yeah, that's a 3. So I think Philip is sort of, trying to do like he's trying to use some kind of reckoning, right? He's watching the priest's eyes. He's like looking for anything that looks like footsteps. He's just like trying to he's imagining that the priest is looking at a physical thing that's taking up space and trying to use anything he can to like get a sense of what space that is.
Yeah,
And I missed the hell out of that roll.
I hear you. So you what catches your eyes is the reflection you see in Father Thomas's eyes, a reflection of something that otherwise doesn't seem to be there. It's an enormous, ravening bear, and you have like just the moment to kind of take that in when you see the priest like gasp as he's like lifted up off the ground, right? Like by something that has grabbed him, and now kind of it charges towards you, and shoulders you aside, right? You can now like make out where it is because it is holding up the priest in the air and just like barreling away with him. I think you hit the ground. And I think you hit the ground, and your pistol spins away from you and kind of lodges under a piece of furniture.
Is he like out the door?
Not yet.
All right. Less harm, more harm. Is this still not my house?
Still not your house.
How poorly constructed is this place?
I mean, it belongs to me. You're welcome to ask me for permission to shoot things.
Okay, I'm totally doing that. Lord Francis, how do you feel about the inside of your house getting shot?
Technically, architecturally, it might be an improvement.
All right, no, I pull out my other gun, the large one.
Still like basically on the ground, like or like you've like pulled yourself up into like a kneeling position to wield this blunderbuss.
Kneeling-ish sounds about right. Like I don't think I've gotten back on my feet, but I'm also not like trying to use this thing laying down.
Do you take the shot, Philip?
Oh yeah, super yes. I am aiming for not the priest. I think is really like I want to hit as much as possible of whatever is holding him while not hitting the priest at all. I want to hit the priest 0 times.
I think that'll depend. I think that'll depend a little on how good the roll is.
I think that's right. I just want to. I want to know that I definitely like intend to air down. All right, more roll.
All right, roll plus blood to unleash an attack, Philip.
Yep. Oh shit. That's a 5. Am I within lend a hand range?
For your good friend Francis Fenton.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Lend a hand can give you a +1,
Which isn't enough. Okay.
Is there a? I'm checking if you've got any better options here. I think unfortunately that might just make it a full-on miss.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Great.
What could go wrong?
And you're just firing your blunderbuss. Yeah, I think Father Thomas lets out a scream. You also hear a like enormous kind of sepulchral rumbling, like, you know, a wounded bear. The priest drops to the ground and blood starts pooling around him. Philip, mark corruption for when you injure a mortal while pursuing the supernatural. And Lord Francis, you know, you see just like enormous claw marks suddenly kind of like ripping into the floor. Like, you know, whatever is here has just gotten angry, and it seems to be coming your way. What do you do?
Oh, I'm game to unleash an attack here. I don't need to see something to attack it. That, you know, hasn't always worked out well for me anyway. Those eyes last time, that was my main problem.
Francis, what is your plan?
So I think this is not the moment to turn into bats. I'm just going to... Well, all right, here's how I plan to unleash an attack. I'm going to turn into bats, you know, to cover a wider area. And wherever the first bat makes contact, I will then kind of cluster the rest of the bats, turn back into me, and try and bear the creature down with my vampiric strength while ripping into it with my teeth.
Do you think that's a let it out followed by an unleash, or are you pitching that as altogether an unleash?
I'm picturing that as an unleash. I feel like, you know, you can hit the bats being a bad idea in the fallout if I roll a miss.
I certainly will. All right, go for it.
All right, well, this is plus blood, so the heck with you, power. That's a 2, so... Oh, where's that roll when I was going to confession? All right, so that's a 10 for me. Let's see. So yeah, I'm going to be bats. Have one of the bats hit this thing. Cluster all my bats around that bat. Become me again, all in front of my friends. And I'm going to inflict terrible harm, as I don't think weird invisible bears have that much I want.
Yeah. Okay. So you are going bats, converging on the ghost bear, and inflicting terrible harm on it. What harm do bats deal by default? This isn't, you aren't using your sword cane here. You're just like bearing it down with main force.
Well, I'm using all my teeth. I'm like using the bats to locate him, that I'm ripping into him with my teeth. So it's the harm I do as a vampire, which oddly is not specified for someone who like spends a lot of time biting people.
Okay. You see kind of bits of bear become visible. There's sort of a it's like where you've kind of injured the bear, there are now sort of kind of floating patches of ghostly gray matted fur, and it kind of it stumbles away. You know, not interested in pursuing this fight, but kind of like kind of growling in anger as it does so. The like, you know, semi-visible bits of spectral bear skin fade through the wall, and I think Philip, you and Francis are left with a, you know, definitely seriously injured priest lying on the floor of this slum house.
I have 2 quick questions.
Yes.
One, am I correct that hit the streets earlier is a faction move, and so I can mark power even though I missed?
That's correct.
All right. And my second question is really a request. I would like to help this turbulent priest sit up, and while so doing, snorkel up some of the blood that is coming off him, and use my feet on someone move, and also mark corruption because he hasn't signed on for this.
Yeah, I believe you do that. return to you and see the results of that when we cut back there. I want to hard frame something for our other players, and that is the masked ball at one of King James's near London palaces, where the king and courtiers are carousing the eve before our carousing the eve before the triumphal procession. And so, Ariel, we know that you had received an invite to this, and you kind of believe that Lord Cecil is giving this to you as an acknowledgement that that he owes you one for your help, kind of smoothing away the bumbling of some of his subordinates. Yefton, I want to ask you, why is it that you have decided to come to the masked ball tonight as well?
I heard that Theophilus would be there, and this seems like a good public place to have a quiet conversation with him. Now that I've sort of laid the groundwork.
Absolutely. Yeah, everyone who is anyone is here, and that includes even up-jumped merchants like Theophilus Vardine. Yeah, the people are mingling. There are masks. There are revels. There are refreshments. Tell me, each of you, what is kind of most gaudily decadent in the food and drink being served at this royal occasion? Ariel first. What do you see here that makes you know King James and his court are aiming to impress?
I think so. I'm drawing a blank.
No worries. Yefton, let's paint the scene. What do you see here that kind of tells you that no expense was spared for the over the top decor and refreshments at this party?
Anything that could be imported is. And it seems like even the things that even local foods, produce, things that could not easily be imported without rotting, have been made into foreign delicacies. All right, this is James letting everybody know that though he is King of England, he is cosmopolitan. He has ties all across Europe.
Yeah. His wife is Danish. Wonderful. And Ariel, if you think of a detail to add into the scene, please go ahead, but no pressure.
All right.
So the best and the brightest of London and of England more broadly are mingling here. I'm sure your invitation just got lost in the mail, Lord Francis. So don't worry about that. You guys have a chance here, absolutely, to hit the streets, right, with any NPC that might plausibly be among the guests here, or to investigate a place of power, because this is a place of power for mortality, as the glitterati of the Stuart government are here. You definitely see kind of wearing a heavier duty mask, Elizabeth Hastings wending her way among the crowd. Yefton, you remember the unpleasantness that went down when you were with Catherine D in her house, and and certainly our good friend Walter Rich can be spotted laughing and bantering with the people here. Let's say like over by the Gilded Swan, they have, as like a centerpiece. Yefton, you are kind of moving through finding your target. Are you trying to like kind of grab Theophilus Vardine by the shirt sleeve and
Yes,
chat
but
there?
I am. I think though, instead of hit the streets, because he doesn't really have anything I want him.
Mhm.
I think I want to roll Bloodhound.
Ooh, just to
Like-
hunt him out and get basically start the
Yeah,
conversation on
like
his
he's
terms.
wearing a mask. He's not necessarily easy to find.
Yeah,
Um.
nice.
And
Yeah, I buy it.
yeah.
Roll with blood.
Yeah, I'm bad at blood. I'm not using scent because I am not a werewolf, but this is my powers of observation, my various different spycraft skills, and that is a 9, which -2 is a 7.
Still a hit. You know
So
exactly where to find them.
I find them. Unfortunately, I don't get +1 forward. So I say Vardane or Vardine.
I've been saying Vardine with a long
Got
like, sound.
Mr. Vardine. Master Vardine.
Yeah. He turns. Are you wearing a mask, Yefton?
Oh, I'm 100% wearing a mask. Hold on 1 second.
So he says, as he's approached by another masked figure, he says, "And what very observant fellow have I the honor of speaking with?"
Debating whether I want to actually tell him.
Hmm.
I think I'm just gonna start out by reminding him of my of his debt.
Okay.
So I say, oh, that's cool. Sorry, I was looking at masks, but so I say, someone whom you owe more than a little. And I sort of like lift my mask. I think the mask I'm wearing is like this kind of very simple
Mm-hmm.
Mask that covers just my eyes and my nose. And it's a very dark brown.
Mm-hmm.
It's leather. But it's sort of lined in like a sort of bronze thread around the edges that catches the light a little bit. So I'm not even that hard to recognize, but I lift it just to make sure that he sees my face.
Yeah, he nods. He says, Master Ibn Adir. So good to see you still hobnobbing. I thought you'd left this scene behind, and it was poorer without you.
The city is my home. It's where I live. I didn't go anywhere. I'm just keeping things a little quieter than I used to.
What can I do for you in your quietude?
I heard a rumor that I think we'll start with this. I heard a rumor that you're still plying wares in and out of England's harbors.
What is a man to do but to labor in his vocation?
And maybe not quite paying all the customs fees that our good King James requires.
It's so hard to keep track of all the new regulations they come out with every single day.
I'm sure the harbor master would gladly help you. It's much easier when you don't conceal things from him behind false floors. Anyways,
He draws a breath in slowly through his nose.
your debt to James doesn't concern me. He's my king, but not like Her Majesty was my queen. And
to the repose of her soul, he lifts his glass.
I lift mine in answer. In any event, I'd heard that you've been shifting in the remains of a very peculiar work of art.
Ah, an aficionado of the inimitable Ulrich Alma.
I don't know very much about art, and frankly, my suspicion is that the ashes are not much to look upon. But I hear it might have properties that could. You know what I'm doing now since I've stepped back from all of this, and I wave my arm at the teeming crowd.
Right, people with masks moving in
Yeah.
and out. Yeah. He nods. He says, "Like you, I've heard a rumor."
You owe me from the past. Can you spare a bottle of the ashes? I think they might be of use to me. And work them into something. Like you said, we all have to ply our trade. There are people who would pay good money for tools crafted with those ashes.
All right. So, are you cashing in a debt to
Yes.
get a worthy and useful gift without cost?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like he does it. Like you do see like surprise in his eyes behind his mask that that this is what you want from him, but he gives you a grin, and he says, "Very well, Master Ibn Adir. I will be very interested to know what you work out with this. My own investigations have been extremely enriching so far." And he pulls from a pocket within his jacket just a vial containing the ashes, and he says, "Do be careful with this. There's only so much to go around." But he presses it into your hand.
Mm-hmm. And I shift it into a little pocket, and I say, if it goes well and I need more, obviously purchased at an appropriate price, our debt is quit. How do I find you?
Most days, my office by the docks is in use. If it happens I'm not there, you can get a message to me through any of my men there.
All right, well, thank you, sir. There's no need for us to be such strangers. And I smile as I lower my mask again.
He gives you a cold grin back. Ariel, you can survey this area and definitely spot where the sort of gaggle of courtiers are laughing uproariously at every observation that King James himself is making. There's many people of interest here, but his Royal Majesty is among the revelers. Supposedly in disguise, given that this is a masked ball, but he has the tallest hat with the highest feather on it, so everyone still knows who the king is. What do you do?
I just sort of look around, try to get the feel of the room, try to see what's really going on underneath, and I'm investigating a place of power.
Nice, go ahead and mark mortality and then roll with it.
11.
Excellent. On a 10 plus, on a hit you see below the surface of the reality underneath. On 10 plus, you can ask the MC one question about the schemes and politics of the faction in question. Absolutely. So I'll say, first of all, you see that despite the overt jollity of the scene, this is a high security event. A number of the masked waiters moving around have, ceremonial swords that look not so ceremonial, look like they've seen some use. And there's this gaggle of courtiers laughing at everything that the king is saying, but every piece of food or drink that that makes its way to him is being tasted by one of the 3 tasters that are kind of triangulated around him, and intercepting anything being passed to him before he receives it. So secretly there's a number of security measures in place, as if there was some reason to be concerned about the safety of His Royal Highness. And then you get to ask me a question about the schemes and politics of mortality.
My question is, who has the most power over the king?
Let me give you a twofer there, because kind of officially, right? Like among his ministers, Sir Robert Cecil holds the most sway as someone who you maybe just like catch bits of the gossip right during this whole party, and you hear people calling Cecil a kingmaker, right? Claiming that it was his steady hand that ensured James became Elizabeth's heir and acceded to the throne. But unofficially, the other set of rumors you hear is that this is technically a historical thing, so I am the other set of rumors you hear is that George Villiers, the Duke of Buckingham, is a favorite and possibly a lover of King James, and so among the nobility who are not like ministers of the government, he has a lot of sway for that intense personal relationship.
All right.
Ariel, you've tell me about your mask, by the way, because I assume basically you've floated in and out of several of these gaggles of gossips to glean all this about what's going on among the mortal court.
Yes, I'm wearing a elaborate sort of wooden mask with living flowers woven through it. So yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think you catch the eye of another masked person who's clearly admiring your mask. He's wearing what looks to be a mask of artfully crafted brass in the shape of autumn leaves, except that occasionally you see the leaves rustle like they really are leaves. And he steps towards you. It's Walter Rich, agent of King Oberon from the Autumn Court, and he says, "My Lady Oakley, looking as lovely as ever. In fact, perhaps lovelier than ever before. May I have the honor of the next dance?" As he extends a hand to you.
I'll sigh in very telegraphed reluctance, but then I'll go along with the dance.
All right. Walter Rich is quick on his feet, right? Nimble and graceful, like the Fae are, from whatever court. So there's sort of kind of a stately court dance going on, but the two of you are able to dance kind of double speed and blend between the human dancers with ease. He says, if only life were but a dance, my lady. If only it were not our place to push forward the hopes and dreams of far-off royals, and we could but immerse ourselves in the celebration. Do you not agree?
I would say that just because you cannot hear the music does not mean it is not a dance.
Apt and witty as ever. May I ask, what brings you here tonight? Is it for the pleasure of the dance or for this other choreography you speak of?
Oh, this court has no pleasure for me. This imposter king could never bring me pleasure.
Be careful how loud you speak that, my lady Oakley.
But what about you? I think I've heard a few of Oberon's dogs sniffing around.
Are you trying to figure someone out?
Yes.
Please roll with mine to see what you can get out of this.
All right. 3.
Was that a 3?
Yes.
So you see like, oh, you're in his faction though, so you do get a question even on a miss. You see a sly smile on Walter Rich's face. He says, "Ah, my lady, I cannot blab my court secrets like a prattling telltale to every pretty fay who bats her masked eyelashes at me. But you're still going to get a question, and please ask it before we find out the other consequences of this mess."
What's Walter Rich hoping to get from King James?
Yeah, that's easy enough. You see him glancing back towards King James, right? Even as you're making the rounds to the dance floor, and you think that you intuit his mission is the same as yours, essentially. That after Elizabeth's death, both your queen and his king are interested in becoming the kind of exclusive, Fey partners of the new English regime. So he has a parallel task to yours, but working for Oberon rather than Titania. As this dance is going on, though, you realize that you've been sort of been danced away from the main crowd, and one of those servants whom you know is wielding real iron steps up on one side of you, and another steps up on the other, and Walter Rich kind of like bows and steps back, and he says, "Now, my lady, I'm told you have some business with Sir Robert Cecil, so I will bid you adieu for now, but it is always a pleasure, and I'm sure I will see you again soon," as he starts making a beeline towards the king, and the men, one of the men like offers you an arm, chivalrously but insistently. What do you do?
I go with the man.
All right, then we'll check in with you momentarily. Let's take 5 before we come back and see how things fadge. Meet back at 9:38 or so.
I'm around. I'm just snacking, so when I'm done, I'll go back on camera.
No worries, Jesse. Sounds good. Leo will be back in 1 moment. All right. And I think we're back. So we're going to cut over to our friends Lord Francis and Philip, who have a injured Father Thomas on their hands in the aftermath of a spectral bear attack. Lord Francis, you said your first thing was going to be lapping up the blood that the priest had spilled on the ground? All right. Go ahead and roll that. I think
Sorry, to be clear, not just on the ground. I'm going to help him up and while checking him for injuries, just go snorfle, and when he calls me on it, if at all, I'll be like, "Oh my goodness, you lost so much blood. You're being ridiculous." That's my plan.
It's the first time I've ever heard vampirism described with the verb snorfle, but I'll allow it.
If I do it off of the floor, I don't think it counts as feeding on an unwilling victim. So,
got to get that corruption. Okay, I'll have you roll. Wait, this is a roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you feed on, you hunger for human blood. When you feed, roll with blood. Simple enough. I'll have you roll with blood. I think you hear Father Thomas saying, "Oh, Lord Francis, I see dark times and tribulation ahead for England. If I die today, I want you to know there will come a day when young Catholics of this realm act with more blood than sense and bring down even more persecution on our heads. I can see it. I can see it in my mind's eye."
There, Father Thomas, rest yourself. One hardly needs to be an oracle to see that. Snorfle, 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 snorfle. All right. That's a 9. So let me check my options. I get to pick 2. I will say, I'm going to save his life and say they don't die. I'm such a good person. Because, as a vampire, like a mosquito, I have various secretions that can be in my, fang action. And here I'm helping him clot his blood and saving his life. You're welcome. And let's see. I'll take +1 forward.
I'll note, I believe that to be a pretty unorthodox application of eternal hunger, but I'll say that he's stabilized for the moment. He's not.
I'm a faithful son of the church. I feed on.
No, I'm a faithful son of the church. I feed on priests to help them out.
He's not looking great, nonetheless. But you do take +1 forward, and please mark corruption for feeding on an unwilling victim.
Already did. What is it like to feed on a priest who's an oracle while he's kind of being oracular? Is it any different than feeding on people normally? I assume it's different than feeding on demons.
Probably a little tangy, like when you fed on that oracle before at Theophilus's, but less ash tasting.
I think Lord Francis kind of hopes, knowing this is not how it works, that feeding on a priest when you've intended to go to confession is sort of like going to confession.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory. Father Thomas is kind of leaning against you for support, Francis, but still looks drawn. Right, he got clipped in the side by a blunderbuss. Philip, what do you do? Didn't have a great time with this ghost bear, and your human victim is here, standing as living evidence of that. And I suppose you want to keep him living evidence if you can.
Yeah, no, definitely invested in trying to save the priest here. I think, I probably have over the years cobbled together like some first aid training, and in particular, and probably given the state of medicine, I'm probably above average at treating bullet wounds. But
you are around them a lot for some reason.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works, right? But I'm not sure if I'd be better off trying to hit the streets on this one. Is that a sane objective? Is that a thing I can be looking for?
Hitting the streets to find medical aid is a very classic use of this move.
But hitting the streets to find medical aid for someone else?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure. Oh man,
who's your hookup here? Who do you turn to for patching up a priest that you've winged with a blunderbuss?
Yeah, no, this is new. So I think definitely my first question is whether Lord Francis has a guy. Because I'm happy to do the ask, but if Lord Francis has a guy, I want his guy.
I mean, I have a butler, and I have Theophilus Vardine, who we could go to the party to get some help from.
But who may well have sent the bear.
I mean, would he really take that big a chance on possibly killing me? After all, he's bound to not kill me for 100 years, and we are several years away from that. It'd be just
hunting indiscriminately for oracles, and the bear took off when it caught resistance. I don't think he knew you were here.
Well, all the more reason to keep the priest near us, because he's less allowed to attack me lethally. If I get in the way of the next bear and die, I will be very disappointed, but Vardine will suffer for years.
Francis, my lord, my son, that is not how you should be thinking of your own death. Whatever sort of life you are leading, your death is not a way to spite your enemies, but to accept the suffering God has given you as your lot, he says as he's pushing a hand on his own wound.
Lord Francis kind of raises a finger to his mouth speculatively and goes, but surely, Father, that applies more to the life I lived up till the point where Theophilus Vardine killed me, in a manner of speaking. Shouldn't I, by rights, be judged up till that point, and everything afterwards is kind of a coda? If I'm dead, there is no second death, only a first resurrection. So,
Lord Francis, you are no soul in purgatory. You are still on this earth, and you must have a care to where you are headed, as have I. And he clearly he crosses himself and folds his hands and is clearly praying for his own soul. Yeah, Philip, Lord Francis, did I get to any sort of consensus about what you're doing and where you might be headed?
I feel like I probably have a guy for this. I don't think we've met him yet.
We can author a medic for you.
I think either a medic or a gateway to medics.
Mm-hmm.
Right, somebody who might not be the person who does operations, but is the sort of guy who knows how to get shady people in touch with help.
And you're thinking
Mortality.
mortality rather than like a wizard with healing powers or another going to knocking on another phase door or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think Philip has those guys. I think Philip's guys are mostly either people that we've named or humans.
Okay,
For
cool.
better and worse.
Who do you turn to then if you hit the streets for medical help?
Oh, sorry, popping open the name bank. Have we used any names in the set? Dorothy Harrington?
I think those are both open.
All right. I think it's a woman. I think who knows who actually does the work, and it probably varies. But I think Dorothy Harrington is someone who, works in an inn near the docks, and who, one can show up. Like, ideally not show up bleeding themselves, but sometimes show up bleeding themselves and be like, yo. So I think I'm gonna hit the streets to see if Dorothy Harrington has a solution to my problem.
Depending on how you roll, she might have a problem for him. Are you picturing old or young? Or middle-aged? I mean, middle-aged is old in this time period. Let's not.
Right. I'm picturing middle-aged, which is old in this time period.
Right.
I think. Probably not far into her 40s, but wow, she's in her 40s.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, right. Roll. Fuck.
What do you got there?
I have a 5. Is that right? Yeah, that's a 5. Shit.
Oof.
Oh, this poor priest.
Oh man, and that's outside the range of lend a hand on this one, I think.
Unless it's something super. Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think that's
okay.
I don't think there's like someone that could be that I could cash a debt in on. I think we're just screwed. I think this poor priest is just not having it.
Yeah. Let me think on that for a moment. Lord Francis, are you going with Philip to the kind of dockside rendezvous point?
I might be inclined to, if Philip convinced me he has this in hand, to go looking for Vardine if it's possible he sent this bear, because taunting him with the fact that he almost killed me is worth sneaking into a party for.
I feel like I could convince you that I have the problem in hand, but I don't have like the dude in hand. Could you at least like fetch your carriage for him or something?
Oh yeah, I can certainly arrange for you guys to be conveyed in some way, probably by barge.
Yeah, Bartholomew, your butler, hails the barge for and like Philip hustles this now cloaked but still somewhat bleeding priest into it.
I tuck my slumming cloak tenderly around him as he's loaded onto the barge.
He says to you, Lord Francis, as he's being brought away, he says, "Never did get to hear your confession, Lord Francis. I can give you absolution if you promise me that you will seek out all those you have hurt and make restitution to them."
Whoops. Lord Francis considers this and goes, "Well, Father, you do your best to get better now. Perhaps it'd be better if you were around to guide me on what you think restitution consists of, but I will do my best."
Pray we'll meet again in the life to come, my son. Yeah, so Philip, you take the barge with Father Thomas to Dorothy's place. What sort of a meetup is it where she arranges these things?
I think it's like it's much quieter than the last couple of bars we've seen. Right. It's a space that's not nice but not loud.
Just a few regulars kind of drowning their sorrows in like kind of a somewhat darker locale right here, like kind of heavy wood, scent of the docks permeating it. Does that sound
I think
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are livelier places around for people who want them, but there are enough people who don't to keep this place barely afloat.
Yeah. We'll call this place the Anchor and Cross. Yeah, so you kind of are like bringing the kind of increasingly not quite there Father Thomas in, where like he seems to be making conversation with you, but then sometimes he seems to just be talking to God or someone else who isn't there. Sometimes it sounds like he's talking to someone and like warning them about actions they might take regarding a room under Parliament, and it's all very confusing to you. But yeah, you kind of bring the like slumped over Father Thomas to where kind of Dorothy's sitting at her usual spot. She looks up. She says, "Mr. Kemp and a friend, to what do I owe the unexpected pleasure?"
Oh, the usual. This poor fellow seems to have found himself in a, bit of a situation. He has perhaps a little less blood than one would want.
Got to keep that stuff on the inside. That's what I always say.
Right?
All right. For old time's sake, I'll take him off your hands. And like she kind of waves a hand, right, and like a just a dockhand who was drinking puts down his mug and comes over to like relieve you of the job of holding up Father Thomas. Do you hand him over?
Oh, I mean, I do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether that's like, Brian doesn't know whether that's a good idea. Philip totally does it.
Yeah. So Father Thomas is kind of like taken out, from the bar, and he calls back, and you can't quite tell if he's talking to you. But he says, "Beware the path of bloodshed, young man. It leads only to tragedy in the end." And Dorothy kind of smiles at this one, and she says, what's that old expression, Philip? They say, speak of the devil, and he will appear unto you. It's funny because you've just earned me, quite a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And the two more people, right, who are drinking at the bar, kind of like turn around in their stools, and like kind of manes of green fire erupt around their faces as they fling themselves at you, Philip.
All right. Man, I don't know. I feel like I think the first thing that goes through Philip's head is, would fighting back here change Father Thomas's chances? I think the snap decision is no. Hopefully he's okay, but if he's not okay, this is not going to change his level of okay. Do we have enough distance that I can unleash an attack? Like, are they on? Is that a thing that's on the table here?
Interesting question. I think it's probable that they've kind of got the jump on you.
That's sort of what I was thinking.
So if you want to avoid their attack first, I'm going to ask you to keep your cool. If you're okay, just unleashing at them and they'll hit you even on a hit, then you can go ahead and do that.
No, I want to try to keep my cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna regret this. I am super incredibly gonna regret this. Is that spirit?
Yeah, that's with spirit.
Shit. Oh man. 7 minus 1 is 6.
Oof. So
I don't actually know what happens if you miss keep your cool.
Yeah, I mean, so what situation were you trying to avoid with that keep your cool? It's getting harmed by these demons, right?
Yeah, I wanted to position myself to be able to take a move, basically. Whether that was going to be trying to talk or trying to threaten or trying to run or whatever.
Yeah.
I wanted a chance to do something.
Like put the chair in between yourself and them or something.
Pretty much.
You're like grabbing for the chair and just like kind of whip-like claws lash out, and like the chair is cut to splinters from in front of you, and the other one kind of sinks these claws into your chest, right? They're kind of like both sharp and flexible, and you take a harm from it, and you're like knocked on your back by the creature's attack.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll cut away from you there. We'll check in on Philip in a moment. Just to check, Lord Francis, you were heading to the party where you assume Theophilus Vardine is. That's great. All right, then we'll have you. Do you have a move you make along the way?
I think I might, if possible, when arriving, try and investigate a place of power, because I know it's both possible being on the move has kept me from receiving my invitation, but also that this is possibly a risky place to go.
I think that's extremely legitimate. So go ahead and help me out to paint the scene first, and add another detail like I asked for before. What do you see here that tells you this is a place where no expense has been spared to impress the court and visiting dignitaries that King James is a truly munificent and magnificent monarch?
Well, I think kind of by sneaking up, I'm drifting along back parts of the palace on my way to the front, where I hope to be able to sweep in. But I can kind of hear some kitchen gossip. There's a lot of cooks who have never seen some of the ingredients they've been asked to prepare tonight before. And there's kind of a moment where I hear people being dared to like taste some weird imported fruit that no one has seen, until a senior cook comes over and gives them a smack with a rolling pin.
It's probably like a tomato. That's great. Go ahead and investigate a place of power, and tell me a little how you're doing. Are you doing it mostly by sneaking around the back way, then making your entrance into the ballroom, or are you doing anything else to look around?
Yeah, I'm mostly sneaking around back ways, and I'm doing it primarily by like moving quietly. But if I run into servants, just pretending to be outrageously drunk. because I think there's nothing that weird about a lord wandering off a little bit.
Go ahead and make your roll. You're muted, yeah.
This is with mortality, right? Yeah, that's what I figured. And I've got a +1. My mortality is 2. So rolling at +3. Boom! That would be a 10.
Nicely done. Go ahead and mark mortality, and you're gonna see below the surface to the reality underneath, and you can ask me a question about the schemes and politics of the faction in question. What you're checking out. You're checking out kind of the backside of the palace on your way in. So, reality underneath. I think you get the strong sense that this masquerade is partially about allaying concerns that King James is not the monarch that Queen Elizabeth was, right? That kind of all of this show is a compensation for the feeling that there's a huge shadow left by good Queen Bess that the new king has to swell for. So that's below the surface reality underneath, but you also get a question about the schemes and politics of the mortality faction.
I mean, I'm definitely primarily looking for leverage on Cecil coming into a place like this, since I know he's been looking for me. It's very hard to out-sneak him. So I feel like my best approach is going to be, swanning right up and saying he was looking for me. But I should have something in my back pocket before I do something like that.
So what's your question regarding Lord Robert Cecil?
Might be, what is he most struggling with that he could use my help for?
Yeah, that kind of can mesh nicely with some stuff, I think. So we'll say that on your entrance, you managed to get nearby some walk of the palace, right? Some kind of garden, one of those kind of garden walks, so that you can be lurking in the shrubbery as Lord Robert Cecil kind of scurries by, limping a bit with some clearly some of his informants at his heels, as he's saying, useless. Elizabeth's old spider had some kind of connections to these renegades and subterranean dwellers on the underside and movers in the darkness. And you give me rumors, you give me innuendo. I want to know what the witches are planning, and I want to arm this triumphal procession against them. The last thing we need is witches attacking King James himself. Do I make myself clear? So yeah, he's heard a rumor about kind of coven plotting against King James, and would very much like to know more about it. Does that seem good to you?
Sure.
Good. All right, then let's check in with Yefton. Who's among the revelers at this masked ball, and I think that I think that you see Elizabeth Hastings, right? You can recognize her even with her mask. In fact, you can tell that her mask is partially hiding the mark left on her face by the magic attack that Catherine D had made against her. You see her like making her way through the crowd towards you, Yefton. Do you wait for her? Do you approach her? Do you head your own way?
I think I would like to try to get away from her. I'm not interested in having that conversation.
I see. Yeah, she's kind of haughtily, but with kind of as quick a pace as her haughty mane allows her, heading towards you. So I might have you roll an escape if you want to avoid any confrontation here.
Sure.
Unless you have a playbook move that fits.
No, I mean no, I don't. I would kind of like. I'm not sure exactly where it's going, but I'd kind of like to pull the other piece. Well, let's see how the roll goes. But what I'm kind of doing is ducking and weaving through the crowd, trying to avoid, to lose her, or at least make following me become too obvious to. Why is this person stalking this other person in the middle of this ballroom to the point that she's embarrassed?
I see.
And I think we'll see how the roll goes, but I think I'd kind of like to sort of bump into either Lord Francis or Ariel or both of them. Well, let's see how the roll goes first. Not great. That is 8 minus with blood, right? Or volatile? No, volatile is a different game. It's a roll with blood, right?
Yeah, so a 7 all told. Is that right?
No, that's a 6.
Sorry, I thought you rolled.
Oh, it's only -1. You're right. Never mind. It's a 7.
Hey, there you go. So you do escape, right? You just get to choose. You get to choose. Have to choose 2 here, right? Suffer harm, end up in another dangerous situation, leave something important behind, owe someone a debt for your escape, give in to your base nature and mark corruption.
So first of all, I'm definitely going to give in to my base nature and mark corruption, and what that looks like, I think is basically using,
Do you use someone as a shield here, a human social shield, and
yeah, I think what it is, we can name this person. Well, hold on, let me look at the list of NPCs. Who's it? I wonder if I can find a likely NPC here.
I can give you. I can say that that Daniel Shepard is one of the extra security people who's been brought in to this ball. If that works for you.
Maybe.
Or
no, I think it's Judith Weaver.
Oh, interesting.
Right, she's an ambitious merchant family. Somehow or another, she got herself an invitation to this ball, and Elizabeth Hastings is exactly the person who she thinks might help her on the way up. And I kind of identify that and position myself in such a way that Judith cannot help but see her and make a beeline for her and interfere. Which is probably not good for either of them. So I mark corruption for that.
I buy it. And do you owe Judith a debt here because you did this, or a different option from the?
Yeah, I think it's a different. Well, let me see what the other options are. I never remember. There's too many. I think I end up in another dangerous situation.
And you were seeking Ariel and/or Lord Francis here.
Lord Francis. One of them was very recently speaking. I have a thought for a more dangerous situation.
Yeah, let me hear it.
One of them, I forget which one, or possibly both of them, was recently speaking with Sir Robert Cecil. Ariel for sure.
Ariel was kind of being escorted to see Robert Cecil, I think. So
yeah. And that's a pretty dangerous place for me to be.
You don't want him to know that you are the Corsair. Would you, if you in the process of navigating away from Elizabeth Hastings, found yourself right behind Ariel as she's being escorted, would you shadow her?
Yeah.
That's legit. Then we can probably get you both into a dangerous situation.
Yeah, if she's okay with that, I'm okay with that.
So, Ariel, you're being led by these guards to a small but expensive office, right? A kind of like a room in this palace that's clearly meant for work, albeit work by someone of wealth and taste. You see the kind of expensive wooden desk, right, and kind of maps along the walls, documents of all sorts. It's clearly sort of a nexus of information, and I think like you're instructed to wait there, and Yefton, you following Ariel, kind of hear a voice behind you, approaching the same place, the same room that she's just been brought into. Sir Yefton Ibn Idir, I've been hoping to speak with you too. You know Lady Ariel Oakley, do you not?
We're acquainted. And I sort of like shoot her a look as if to say, like, don't make it too clear how you know how we're acquainted.
Come in. We have so much to discuss. So yeah, he like draws you, politely but firmly into his office. Sir Lord Francis, I think like, I don't know. I think you observed this happening, such that you can swan in when and if you'd like to. Does that sound good to you? All right. Yeah. So here we are in Sir Robert Cecil's office. The spy master to King James kind of lurches over behind his desk. He's had a limp since childhood. He pushes some papers around on it, and then he looks up and he says, "It's pleasant to all get in the same room, is it not? I'm aware the many complexities of your dealings with this court. In fact, I seem to recall a certain young woman who disappeared under mysterious circumstances from the tower. You wouldn't happen to know anything about her, would you?" And he lets the question hang in the air, not really expecting an answer.
I'm just a blacksmith and tinkerer, my lord.
I'm not sure which woman you're referring to.
A sudden bout of forgetfulness. It affects the best of us. Nonetheless, we have ways of jogging the memory, which I'm sure won't be necessary this evening. And then he turns to you, Yefton. He says, "Hard at work in your smithy. I see you can take the Moor out of Morocco, but not necessarily vice versa. Well, I am not here merely to discuss what I know. I could go on all night if that were necessary. No, there are things that I believe you know that it is necessary for the good of the realm and the safety of His Majesty that you disclose to me. As we know, the greatest threat to civic order and good governance in His Majesty's kingdom is witches."
And that was a laughing character.
You find
I think this is where I just throw the door open. I've had tucked under my my arm this whole time my most billowy cape, and like have splashed a little alcohol from the party on myself as I come in and go, "Lord Cecil, goodness, for a man who knows everything. I heard you've been looking for me sometime and couldn't pry me away from those troublesome women. Until these past weeks, I never would have guessed that mistresses of the mystic arts were a match for you, but thank goodness I wrenched myself free from their, and that like straight my collar, attentions. I'm trying to mislead, distract, or trick Cecil that I know something important about witches. I in fact know nothing about witches. I haven't been present for any of the witch plot lines.
He raises his eyebrows. Go ahead and roll plus mind to see if you can sell it. So that's a flat roll for you.
Come on, dice. Come on, dice. Ooh, it's a 5.
Oh, what happened to the good dice, everyone? I see. Brian's asking whether both of the other characters in the scene can try to lend a hand.
It's definitely up to you guys. It's hard to imagine that like having his attention on me isn't helpful to you, whether it's good or bad.
Anyone want to venture a go? Because otherwise, I think I have a sense of what might happen.
1 second. Sorry.
In the meantime, I'm punishing the bad
Yeah,
dice.
I think only one of us can do it successfully. We can both try.
Sorry, I don't think I understand that, Jesse.
Meaning, like, the rule is that you can only get +1 from lend a hand.
Oh, okay. So it can't push it up all the way. Yeah. So Cecil kind of sneers. He says, "Lord Francis, so good of you to join us as well this evening. Now, I believe I have 2 of the 3 people who should not have been in the Tower of London on the evening in question."
Lord Francis replies, "I absolutely agree. I should not be in the tower at any time."
It's been many years since I was in the tower.
I'll be the judge of that in James's England, Lord Francis. Now, I'm sorry to hear that you have been carousing with these corrupt and untrustworthy, equivocal women. Are not you a happily married man, Lord Francis?
Oh, very happily, Lord Cecil. These women just wished me to explain to them at length how happily and how I had effected such match. But the kind of man that they sought was not a union I could urge upon any Christian woman.
And how is your wife enjoying the city this evening, Lord Francis? Or were you not aware she was here?
I think Lord Francis certainly makes a put out face, and just says well, my gentle Maria prefers the countryside when possible, but if circumstances make it impossible, her dainty affect is a balm to this somewhat rough city.
Yes, and I hear she's been bringing that lovely balm to some of the places in James's London that are most in need of it. And he looks at one of the pieces of paper on his desk and smiles and folds it up and places it in a pocket of his very, very obviously. He says, "I will ask my question again now that Lord Francis has joined us and alludes to some ability to shed light on the situation. What do you know of the abominable practices of those witches that are plotting against His Royal Majesty's person?"
So I'd like to. Here's kind of what I'm thinking. I want to sort of like again draw on that sort of like spycraft and that kind of grit, those inner resources, to and then, well, the idea here is that I want to extend my senses if I succeed. At least is one of the things, right?
Extend your
And
senses.
right, and I think well, but maybe even just like sharp eyesight, right?
Mhm.
Like, and to have gotten the glimpse of what it says on that piece of paper.
Oh shoot! Yeah, go ahead and
You know, like sharp sense of observation before he even picked it up.
Hmm.
Right, I was looking. I was scanning the papers on the table.
Yeah, please go for it.
And that is plus spirit, which I think is 0. And double check to make sure I'm right, but I think it's 0. Oh, it's 1, so that's a 10.
Nice.
So
of course you know. Oh, I guess you can choose another.
Correct. I'm going to take +1 forward. I'm going to take my last corruption.
Yeah. Wow, Yefton, the first to get that corruption move.
Corruption is one of my favorite mechanics in this game.
And while we're on the bookkeeping here for a sec, Ariel, you look to have all the factions marked. Have you taken an advancement for that yet?
No.
All right. Once you do, unmark the factions and let us know what you've taken. I'm very excited to see. So yeah, Yefton, you're filling up your corruption track.
Yeah, I'm taking Pack Rat, just so you know.
Is that from the veteran? Or yeah. No? Yeah. Okay. Cool. You do extend your senses, so you successfully like read upside down the in code scrawl on this paper, but it turns out some of Cecil's informants use the same code handwriting that you're already familiar with. The report is it's from someone whose job it is to observe the Fenton estate, and they reported that a carriage sent by Theophilus Vardine had come to the Fenton estate and picked up Maria Fenton, lady to Lord Francis.
Interesting. So upon reading that, I turn to I turn to Lord Francis, and I sort of look him up and down, and I think I say I also, Lord Francis, would like to know what exactly it is that many of your dealings in this city are mysterious to me, and I want to figure someone out, and that someone is Lord Francis.
Okay, roll plus mind to do that.
Yeah, and I get +1 from my let it out as well. And that is 8, 9, and 10.
You get some questions to ask him from that list.
I do.
Also, I'll flag that Cecil's a character that we've finally got on screen for the first time, so it's not implausible for any of you to put a face to a name with him. FYI.
Yeah. So I mean, first I asked that question, and I think I asked, and this is not necessarily one of the figure someone out questions, but it's conversationally, right, Lord Francis? It's just like, what are you doing in this city?
All right, and let me know if there's a specific question there you want me to be angling for, because Lord Francis is going to give a cagey answer to that in front of Cecil.
When I get to the questions, you'll know. I'll make sure that it's clear.
I think he says, well, I dabble a bit, art, hunting. I like to keep my hand in. I like to see Lord Cecil keeping things in order, making sure he's not arranging surprises. Everyone knows he's terrible at surprise parties. But my business is mostly handled by my steward. It's very dull business. Farms, perhaps? I should look it up. My late father, he bows his head respectfully.
No need. I have a full accounting right here. He's Cecil, with a smirk, slides a paper across the table to you that's a ledger of your own, holdings and their exact value.
All right, I think Lord Francis does say to Cecil, and I'd love to, after this move resolves, maybe use this to put a face to a name, but just go goodness, Lord Cecil, if you are willing to do all this for me for free, I don't really know why I should keep my steward on.
Yes, your late father was a figure with great reputation in this city. And I think the question here, and then I follow up with, but are your interests the same as his? And I think the question here is really who's pulling your character strings, right? And really, what I'm asking you is the Pope pulling your character strings, right? That's the. Right? Is there some kind of a Catholic conspiracy here, along with Vardain? Is this all some move against Protestant England?
Yeah, so I think Lord Francis says well, many have told me we shall not see his like again. But when I say that, I kind of tap meaningfully a cross, presumably he bequeathed to me, which from your previous death, my father, contains a relic and is not quite in line with Protestant norms at the moment, even though it appears to be plain. So I think does that work for your answer?
Yeah, you're confirming my suspicions that you are indeed a crypto Catholic.
Papistry.
Yes.
You get one. You can spend the hold for one other question. Is it all right if we?
Let's move on. When I'm ready to ask another question, I'll put it on. If you want, if Lord Francis wants to make his move here.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he, I think Cecil leans forward. He says, "My lady, I apologize. These gentlemen clearly have important business to discuss amongst themselves, but I did not bring you here merely to be an ornament to the room, though of course you are that. I'm aware that you have knowledge of things beyond, let us say, mortal ken. What can you tell me about things that concern all of us as loyal subjects of His Majesty?"
I might have heard something or other that might be relevant to your interests. I'm just not entirely sure why I should tell you.
Lord Francis, you have an opening here if there's a thing you're going for. Or Ariel, is there a particular thing you're trying to do here, persuade an NPC?
No, not really.
Okay, great. So you're keeping him on the hook.
I'm still most interested in putting, let's see, a face to a name in the hopes that I can get a debt on Cecil.
Proof, just build in some bit of backstory where he owes you.
Yeah, so I think I'm just going to be scrutinizing VCs, but more rattled and just more aggressive with me than he's usually been. I felt we had a relationship where he understood I was in some ways working against him, but I understood some reasonable limits within which to work. Let's see, rolling with mortality.
Roll with mortality.
All right, making new dice so that The old dice are dead. I ate them. It's a 7. So at least it's a hit.
Nice. Yeah. You know their reputation. The GM will tell you what most people know about them. They don't owe you a debt, though.
So irritating.
Yeah, I think the key thing is you understand that Cecil is possibly the most dangerous man in England, as the power kind of working tirelessly to maintain and build up King James's position and hold on the unruly realm of England. He's called the man who made an English king out of wee James of Scotland. And you can tell that this is stressful for him, but it's also what he loves and the only thing he's fit to do. Yeah, I think that's general knowledge that anyone kind of in the know about the workings in the shadows of England would have. Yeah. So Cecil leans forward. He says, "Enough pleasantries, gentlemen. My lady, there is knowledge that could sink all of your ships here in this room and carefully hidden elsewhere with my trusted associates. However, it is not my practice to go about committing arson willy-nilly. That is the modus operandi of the infernal enemies of our glorious King James. Therefore, I would like to propose an arrangement whereby we can all benefit from each other. You will go out, do what you need to do among those friends that you have in the dark corners where you have them, and then bring me word that the witch's plot is scuttled and the triumphal procession will proceed triumphantly and processionally. Do I make myself clear?
I'd like to modify the terms of that agreement if I can.
By trying to persuade an NPC?
Yeah. I think I lean over the desk and tell Cecil, for the sake of the nation, I'm happy to give you my help in this matter, but King James has so wisely warned us. Witches, those infernal beings, keep creeping back in even after initial defeat, particularly when the doors have been left wide open. I'd be happy to offer you my continuing cooperation on this matter in exchange for, as processions go, this one occurring over the body of Theophilus Vardine, but on this date precisely, and I give the date that's 1 day before he's allowed to kill me. I want to make a deal with Cecil where he has my loyalty with regard to witches specifically, in exchange for him arranging the death of Theophilus Vardine the day before Theophilus is allowed to murder me.
I want to jump in before Lord Cecil answers and ask you, what exactly is your quarrel with Mr. Vardine? And I'm asking what your character's beef with.
Mr. Vardine and I had a business relationship gone sour. And he's a man who considers himself bound by contract, but has neglected a loophole in this one that if he's dead by this date, it becomes inadvisable for him to have me killed.
I shrug and say, it shall be as God wills it.
I say, technically, if he's dead at any point before that date, it's to my advantage, but I'd prefer him to get his hopes up. And I turn back to Cecil as I, because rolling with heart is rolling with. This is actually.
Is there?
Do I have a move for this?
Is there a special?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I have a move for this, and I think. No, I don't.
hang on. I guess Cecil has actually come to you to threaten your interests a little bit. So it's possible that he's in your web.
Oh. Then yes.
That does
If he's
sound
in-
like the
if
sweetest
he's-
thing that could possibly happen right
Yeah,
now.
if he's in my web, then he owes me a debt. So instead, yeah, I think I'll still make this a persuade roll, but at least I'm going to cash in the debt to take a +3 on persuading him. And I say, why not keep the scope of our working together limited? I will help you with the witches. You will leave my other business out of it, provided it remains at the levels that you have traditionally found beneath the interest of someone as important as you. Just a few souls shriven along the way, and you'll arrange the death of Theophilus Vardine on this date. I have every confidence you can do it, Cecil, and I know you appreciate a good hope let down at the last moment.
All right. So you're cashing in a debt so that you can roll with +3 on persuade. Wow, your heart is already 1, so that's a +4 overall. Is that right?
Yeah, but I don't trust the dice, so.
Give it a go. Let's see.
Pow!
What did you roll?
I rolled an 11, all told.
Okay. Yeah. Cecil kind of grimaces, but he says, "What your petty quarrel with this merchant is, I won't bother myself with. Lord Francis, it sounds like we have an understanding. I trust you will hold up your end with alacrity."
I think Lord Francis offers like a leisurely nod and then a wink, and then goes, obviously a merchant is below your interest, but I will tell you, Cecil, if you do figure out the source of our disagreement and the full terms thereof, I will stand you a pint or the death of a person not connected to me of your choosing. By the date of his death. You don't have forever, Cecil.
He just narrows his eyes. He turns to Yefton and Ariel. He says, "And you will assist with the little bit of witch hunting necessary?"
I make no promises going forward, but I'll give you a name today. After all, I wouldn't even know how to start looking for such a thing. But a lot of people use my forge, some for things that are more suspicious than others, and you might want to take a look at Elizabeth Hastings.
Young Lady Hastings. Very well. I thank you for your services, Yefton Ibn Adir. I am glad you are a loyal subject of His Majesty.
Of course.
And Lady Oakley.
I will see what I can do to aid His Majesty.
Oh. Sorry. I have something I want to say to him as we walk out, but it can wait.
He nods curtly. He says, "Good. Then I trust a meeting like this will not be necessary in future. You can bring word of your success to this address," and he passes you an address for a significantly more downscale place in London, and then says, "All right, you are free to go." And you hear some kind of shuffling and clunking from places you wouldn't expect shuffling and clunking, like behind the arises in the room, and the door is opened up behind you. You had one more thing to say, Yefton?
And just like as I'm walking out, I turn around and I say, "My lord, I hope you will not forget the debt you owe me for this gift."
Nice. Is that so that giving the name was a gift, and so you're gonna
Yeah. So
call it as a debt?
he owes me.
I do that as a debt. Yeah.
Yep.
I buy it. Let me just check in with you. What do you think your character's like next aim is as you leave Cecil's office and return to where the party has gotten drunker and perhaps more raucous, but no less decadent, opulent.
So I have sort of, I guess, like 2 goals. I mean, the goal is to break down this ash ring.
Yeah.
I guess. So part of this probably involves a conversation with Lord Francis about ways to get at Vardine, since he clearly has some kind of a relationship there and animosity that I can use, and some kind of a follow up with Oberon or his agents.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to happen at the party. There can be like a time jump for either or both of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Ariel, your kind of your objectives and aims.
I guess I'll just look into the witches, I guess.
Okay, nice. And Lord Francis, what are you thinking?
I mean, I still have.
You're muted.
I thought I clicked it. I still have pretty much no idea what's going on with the witches. I have no idea what's up with my wife. So I feel like, I still am a bit interested in the spectral bear. So I might be trying to catch the Theophilus Vardine either at the party or later. And, as leverage, I do notice that there's a move for dropping a name someone who owes you a debt. And I'm pretty sure Theophilus is interested in my Oracle priest friend. But my main inclination is to go kick his hornet's nest a bit.
All right, cool. We will check in on those things then. Good for me to know your aims. But let's check in with Philip, because Philip was in a bad situation the last time we saw him. Philip, you're on the ground. You have sharp demon hand whips sinking into your chest, and yeah, your contact Dorothy appears to have sold you out. And there's these kind of demonic agents here, and I think you see that their eyes are gold. What do you do?
I don't feel like I can run. I think
you think yeah. You don't. I don't think you have an opening to escape a situation yet.
And so I think what I've got is what I've always got. I'm fighting back. I'm going to use my horrible enchanted weapon.
Oh yeah, your horrible enchanted chain weapon.
Yes, which is easier to deploy, and more importantly, mechanically has an area effect. Do we think I'm hand ranged from these guys? Like, it feels like I must be, given what they used on me.
Yeah, that sounds legit to me.
So I, still mostly lying on the ground, like fling my right arm out in an arc, and that's like followed by this, like horrible blood red trace that is a magical blade on the end of a chain whose provenance I don't want to think about too hard.
Yeah, it's kind of emerging from not tattoo, but brand on your arm. You get your, nice, definitely benevolent ritual weapon. Go ahead and roll to unleash an attack. See how well that, because you are hitting at these demons that are out for your skin.
All right, that's 7 plus 2 is 9. My new high roll for the session.
Nice. So you get to choose inflict terrible harm or take something from them, and you'll also have to choose they inflict harm on you or you find yourself in a bad spot.
Does it look like there's anything is there anything physical that it seems clear that I would want to take, or that I might possibly be interested in taking? I sort of
their eyes seem interesting. If you want to take one of their eyes, it's possible you could examine it and find something out about it.
Yeah, fuck it. Presumably, inflict terrible harm would only be on one of them. Would it be on both? I don't actually know how that works on area weapons.
I mean, you are deadly, so when you inflict harm, you increase the harm by 1 anyway, right?
Yeah. So and it's a. Let me double check this. It is a blessed weapon, so it's either +1 or armor piercing, whichever is better for me, I think.
Yeah. I'll tell you that without inflicting terrible harm, you're still killing both of them.
Okay. Yeah, I want the eye. I want an eye. I'll take an eye out of that.
Yeah. So
I don't think Philip necessarily knows he's going for it, but if both of these guys are disincorporating, having an eye roll to my feet would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the chain just kind of slices right through, spins and slices the next one that's coming, right? So that basically there's a moment where both of them are on the chain, and then the chain snakes back through them, snagging an eye along the way. They kind of burst into green flames and dissolve, and you find yourself still on the floor, but with a demon eye stuck to the bladed end of your arm chain. And I think you hear Dorothy making a run for it, and probably the sound of kind of more feet moving in the back of the bar, headed down towards the front. What do you do?
Do we feel like this counts as getting me in a bad situation? Are we happy with that?
Oh right, so bad spot versus they inflict harm on you.
Yeah, if this counts as a bad spot, I'm happy to take it. If not, I want to talk about it.
I'll push it slightly more if that's okay.
Okay.
If you're going with bad spot.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Yeah. So
It sounds more fun.
you see Dorothy make a run for it, and then you see 4 more of these type of demons crashing out from the back room of the bar, headed towards you, howling.
Do they also have distressingly gold eyes?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, do I want to escape or persuade?
The classic dichotomy.
Yeah, right. Now I want to try to persuade, I think. So I have
How
only.
are you going to do that, Philip?
So all of my weapons are 2 armor greater, but including the one that I have out right now.
Yeah.
So I think. So I sort of idly spin this chain, while holding the golden eye trophy in my hand, and get ready to talk. That means I can roll plus blood. We're feeling good about that.
You're calling this a persuade through threats?
I mean, do you feel lucky when you persuade while wielding a weapon?
Yeah.
And I feel like, the thing that just took out a couple of dudes with evidence that, I just took out a couple of dudes gets me there. I'm not sure that I'm ready to threaten yet, but that's definitely like it's hanging out.
Yeah, totally.
And so I'm rolling plus blood again.
And what you're trying to
That is it.
sorry, and tell me what you're trying to persuade them to do.
I am hoping to. I'm hoping to persuade them to cut their losses.
All right.
That, like, they and I are both sort of like looking to live to fight another day, and I think I want them to. I want to convince them that they stand a worse chance than me of doing that if it comes to blows again.
All right.
All
right.
And
that was an 8 on
a 2 plus
persuade.
4 plus 2 is 8. So
8 all told.
how does that? Yep, 8 all told.
Okay. Yeah.
So I sort of like wave the eye and like, look, guys, I know what you've been told to do. I know this isn't over now, but you don't want this. And so I'm setting out the like really I'm trying to persuade them to not fight me here as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think that, like, I'm not trying to talk the like crowd into giving up. Just like let me go in peace and I'll let them go in peace.
Yeah.
Bluffing
the lead demon has like those like whip claws out, and he like hisses, seeing the like green embers dancing on the floor of his fellows. He says, "We'll hunt each other another day then, but you put your chain away first." So he's modifying the terms,
right?
But he's agreeing. He's agreeing to your request.
Demons have a lot of problems, but compared to people, surprisingly good with their word. I'm playing this game. It's dramatic. There's a flourish. I sort of like fling my hand up and it comes back.
All right. One more question. Did you do anything with that eye that was stuck on the blade at the end of your chain before retracting the chain?
Gosh.
Oh, I thought I had pulled it off.
Okay.
Like I thought I had pulled it off and was like waving it around and it was like in my hand.
Got it. Fair enough.
That
Okay.
was like part of the threat. Like before we got into this, I thought I was like it was in my other hand.
All right. Just checking that fictional positioning. That checks out.
Very, very reasonable. But that's what was in my head. Does that scan with you?
It works. I wanted to check we were on the same page. So you retract your chain. You leave the anchor and cross. Crawling with demons, but seemingly not ones that want to tangle with you after what you did. And you've got that weird eye with you too. Philip, let me check in. After what's just happened to you, do you know what your next move would be? You managed to deliver Father Thomas, and then had some problems of your own.
Part of me wants to check up on Father Thomas, but part of me thinks his best chance is if I don't do that. So I definitely want out. Right. I'm sort of, my inclination is to head back hiding word unless I am like given word there's like something else interesting or sane to do.
Cool. So let me check.
If folks are going somewhere and a message gets to me, I will 100% do that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I think Philip's default right now is to
Go
get
around.
out of it.
Yeah. All right. Then other PCs. Do any of you collar an urchin and have them send a message to Philip? And you can also say you do this later if you have a better idea soon for an urchin message to send. Very well. Then I think we'll leave that possibility on the table, so we know an option to turn to here. Let's say that in the the time we didn't see them, other PCs can have filled fellow player characters in with anything they want to tell people about. So Yefton and Ariel, do you tell Lord Francis anything about the witch stuff that he kind of was? You maybe could tell he was just bluffing about it in Cecil's office.
Does he ask?
Up to Leah. I'm just giving us a chance to montage over getting on the same page. You can still do moves to each other if that's what you want to do, but giving us a chance to have information exchange not totally on screen.
I mean, if you want it, you can have it. I just wanted to know if you're going to be proactive. You just have to be proactive about it. That's all.
I think Lord Francis, in some charming way, tries to express that he's curious whether you also were lying off your asses or if it was just him in there. He's also definitely interested in if anyone knows where his wife is. But
every word I said in that office was true. Narrator voice, it was not. But the witch part was real.
I think I'm right in saying that neither of you PCs knows anything about where Maria Fenton is.
Not a thing.
Right.
Nope.
Oh, actually, no, that's not true at all.
I know Yefton knows. I'm just wondering if he's telling me.
Right.
Wait, I know. I don't remember knowing.
Oh, Yefton, you snuck a look at the letter that.
That's right. That's right. I know from the letter. Sorry, not from other things. Yeah, I think I do say I think I do say. I think I do say. Lord Cecil seems to know more about the whereabouts of your wife than you do. And in fact, that's a conversation we should. What I'm interested. Let's just have this out of character for a second. What I'm interested in, right, is yeah. So let's do this quick. What I'm interested in is your. What's the word? I can't remember his name. Very tired.
Theophilus the Sire.
Thank you, Verdine.
Yeah.
Theophilus Verdine, right? And now I know something else that I will share with you. He has her.
Well, how do you feel about a spot of rough justice before we turn in for the evening? Only going so far. I've promised Vardine to Cecil.
I'm interested in his business. His life is in your hands.
I can certainly provide a distraction while you go through his books to your leisure.
No. I know what his business is. I'm interested in ending it.
I can certainly provide a distraction while you burn his entire warehouse to the ground at your leisure.
Excellent. You may want to search it first. Your wife may be in there.
Kyle, if we're losing you, can I check in? Just what do you think Ariel's next step with the witches is? If that's the thing you're headed towards, I think next.
Probably just go chat up some of my witch friends. I got one of them a spell book.
Judith owes you a debt. Yeah, are you cashing that in to get something?
Uh, 'Cause, 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 'cause,
Because cashing in there with an NPC, you can get them to answer a question honestly about their faction, introduce you to a powerful member of their faction. So there's some other options there, right? But those are some of the ones you've got.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. What's your what do you think? Is there a move you want to trigger as kind of our to like lead into a last glimpse of Ariel, so we get a sense of what she's going off to do here?
I guess Ariel's gonna go help the witches. I guess. I mean, she's no friend to King James, so I might as well help the witches do whatever they want.
Okay. Yeah. If you connect up with Judith, right, who's the ambitious merchant's wife that we know is secretly a coven member and someone who owes you for getting her a spell book, she'll explain to you that the problem they've run into is that Catherine D managed to get her spirit tangled up inside of London Stone, which they've been making the focal point of their spell. So Judith will ask you, Lady Oakley, I know you are no stranger to the mystic arts. Can you help us get Catherine D's spirit out of there so the spell will go forward?
Can I do that?
You can certainly try.
Yeah, I guess I'll try.
All right. So, do you mind letting kind of our last sight of Ariel be this let it out roll? Let's say we've kind of montaged over some of this stuff, and you're there at London Stone, trying to unblock the mystical focus that the witches have chosen.
Sure, yeah. I got a 3 plus. I don't know what you loaded that with.
That's plus spirit.
3 plus. It's a failure.
All right. Tell me what this looked like. Were you touching the stone to try to cast this spell? Were you summoning up your plants? Right. Like how did you try to do this?
Yeah, I think Ariel just sort of lays her hands on the stone, and some roots sprout from her hands to touch the rock and stuff.
You feel yourself drawn inwards, and I think you look around. You seem to you the space you're in looks like a kind of frozen garden. Like it's full of green growing things, but they've all been iced over, and up in the sky there seem to be vast winged shapes instead of celestial bodies, and you hear a harsh laugh from nearby you. You turn and you see Catherine D, and she's like, "Oh, well, if this doesn't make this even better." So I think it's possible that the last thing we see, kind of leaving it open, what you eventually do, whether you and Catherine work out your differences and break your way out. But the last thing we see is that Catherine D and Ariel have both gotten stuck inside of a stone.
All right.
All right. Kyle, thank you for playing. Ariel has been a great character to have in this series. I am letting you fly and be free, though Ariel is not exactly free at the moment.
All right. Thanks for playing, everyone. Good luck with the ending. Yeah.
Good to play with you too. All right. So a plan was coming together with Lord Francis and Yefton. Is that about right? What were you planning on doing?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. It's getting a little late for me too. It might be better if we just abstract this out rather than play it through. If you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's okay with that.
We can even do an on the fly custom move just to let the dice have some say in how this falls into place.
Oh no, the dice.
Oh. So I think it sounds like the guts of the plan were Lord Francis distracts Vardine, and I get in and basically try to dispose of, steal, destroy the rest of those ashes.
Yeah, I'm game for that. And I think my mode of distraction is going to be bringing the priest oracle into play. Because I bet Vardine is interested since he showed his trick to me and thinking I might know things or have seen things. I just want to screw with him as much as humanly possible, and also hopefully find my wife because those are hard to replace.
Okay, yeah. So you track down Vardine still at the masked ball, or afterwards when he's returned to his place of business? Where do you?
On his way back, I think, away from his warehouse so that it's more available to Yeftin, but away from the crowd.
You waylay Vardine. He says, Lord Fenton, what a surprise to see you this evening. How are you? Yeah, tell me one more thing about how your opening gambit here to trick him and to dangle a priest for him.
I think I complained that he interrupted a meal I was sharing with Thomas the Oracle. I managed to enjoy most of it, but not drink it to the dregs, which was both rude, perilously close, but for my excellent reflexes to a violation of his siring oath, etc., etc.
Ah, you got the bear. Go ahead and roll mislead, distract, or trick.
All right. That one is mind, which I think for me is flat. It is flat. All right, dice. I deleted you once. I could do it again. I did not actually succeed at re-rolling them. 1 second. Come on, guys. It's a 6. Are you up to help me in any way, Yeftin? Because we're working together on this plan.
Yeah, sure. The problem is I'm mislead or distract.
You could have shared any details with me that I'm weaving into this, conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. I think we can do it that way. Or if we want to pull, I think if we want to pull Philip in, that's also a valid and probably.
Actually, yeah. If Philip wants to help me, I would definitely suggest then that my distraction is saying that I found an even more informative and tastier source, and having you proffer that
No, totally down. I think if you reached out to me, you could have absolutely run into me on your way down, and we could have regrouped. If you were just
up to roll the helping me out,
I don't know what it is. I could have rolled in, and
let's go with that.
Hell yeah!
All right, we'll see whether you can convince Theophilus to eat a golden demon eye, which we know.
And I'm rolling with Knight.
That's correct.
Nice. All right, that's a 10.
Nice. So
I think it's my first 10 in this entire damn campaign.
You lend a hand, and indeed you lend an eye. So with a flourish, Lord Francis reveals his human, valet, I guess, is at least Theophilus's perception, proffering this golden eye. Which options are you picking from this distractor trick? Create an opportunity, right? Because you're trying to create an opportunity for Yeftin.
Yep.
And do you get 2? You get 2 thoughts. You get 2 on a 17.
Right. So create an opportunity, and let's go with weakness or flaw. There's no way I'm avoiding further entanglement with my sire.
Yeah. I think he probably looks at you. He's examining this eye. He's like, and you've tasted this yourself, my lord?
I didn't stop at just one, I say brightly and with total sincerity.
Yeah, so Theophilus sinks his fangs into the eye, and you see his eyes like go wide, and some like smoke rises from him. And we'll cut to Yefton. Yefton, what was your plan regarding Theophilus's holdings? You wanted to like just destroy them so as to get rid of them?
I think I want to take as many as I could carry and destroy the rest.
So you're loading yourself up with these
Yep.
vials of ashes,
For myself and also for Oberon.
sticking them into your pack rat bag.
Pockets. Yeah.
So tell me, what situation do you want to avoid when it comes to destroying Theophilus's office or warehouse here, warehouse/office?
Mostly I just want to avoid getting caught.
Okay.
Like,
So
I want to get in and out without anybody seeing me.
right. Go ahead and roll. Keep your cool, and let's see how well that goes.
That's spirit.
Yep.
And that is a 10.
Nice.
That's some good rolls today. It's very out of character.
Yeah. So you are like a ghost, not like a ghost bear, but like a more subtle ghost that sneaks into places and steals a bunch of vials of ashes and brings the place down behind them as they vanish into the night.
Like leaving just enough to make it clear that some of it was destroyed. Right? So he doesn't come looking for the rest.
I love it. I think we have time for just epilogues. No more moves, but just tell me one more image you think of your character's exploits or what they do in the days ahead. Starting with Philip.
Yeah, so I think you see Philip talking like actually talking to Cecil, which is not necessarily like an image that you'd predict given his station.
Right.
And you see sort of like, and so you get two more images, right? You get one image of like a band of demons like coming after Philip, and like some like English guards getting in the way, and you get one of Philip staring down his revolver at a witch.
Excellent. King James will be pleased. Yefton, what do we see suggested? What do we see about kind of your further exploits?
So I think I just keep on getting pulled, farther and farther and deeper into the politics of the city again. Now that I'm on Lord Cecil's radar, I should not have given him Elizabeth Hastings.
Yeah, maybe not.
And Oberon's got his hooks into me. And I think what happens is I actually, without that like sort of grounding sense of loyalty, that I had to Queen Elizabeth, what you see is me becoming more and more mercenary.
And
I think that's
corruption.
Yeah, just kind of like leaving it. I would just leave it there. That I'm sort of like more and more taking these kind of like sabotage, information gathering, etc. jobs for hire, and I never really quite find that person in whom I can place my trust.
Yefton, Lord Francis, how about you?
So let's assume at some point I get my wife back, who I believe I had previously said had hoped to be a nun, but then the nunneries were all closed. I'd like to place my epilogue, in a carriage where my wife and I are headed to or near the border of Scotland. After we come out of London, I start a conversation with her. I pull Father Thomas out from under the cushions in the secret priest hole where I was keeping him. And I say, my dear Maria, this will be
He's much more haggard looking than before.
a difficult conversation, but for reasons I will endeavor to explain, our marriage remains annullable. And if you wish instead to be married to Christ instead of me, the good father here can receive private vows. And we cut away before we hear her answer, because I am trying to make restitution to people I have harmed.
Yeah, and I think the upshot of Maria's kind of escape is that she's learned a little more about like what you've been lying to her about all this time. So yeah, we'll speculate as to what how she answers that. I think like the last few things we see are on King James's triumphal procession through the city. We see the king like waving and beaming to his subjects, and like on his finger is a ring with a autumn leaf on it, and like standing amongst his retinue is very pleased looking Sir Walter Rich. And then down by London Stone, without the leadership of Elizabeth Hastings, the coven have made their attempt, and we see them kind of place their hands on the stone and kind of turn, looking towards the procession passing by, and all of their eyes are gold, and then twing, 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 crossbow bolts fly down from a hidden place, and like the witches kind of drop in this circle around the stone, and we'll leave things there in 1604 London. Thank you all so much for playing. This has been a fun time, and thank you anyone who's been watching. Have a good night.